Holy shit, this some hot garbage. Yeah. But I can't stop listening. Yeah.
Of all the people to have your shit duetted by, and it's Malala, the woman who got shot in the head during school, you gotta pack it up. 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 This would be like if I said, I don't know why you make a big deal about sitting in the back of the bus, and then Rosa Parks duetted me. Like, your accounts, you gotta screw up your internet presence.
This is America, Lois. Men have always run things, and there have never been any problems whatsoever. And don't say the economy or Iraq or income inequality or racism or Brett Kavanaugh or air pollution or Vietnam or slavery or Watergate or capitalism or Me Too or homelessness or police brutality or homophobia or Monica Lewinsky or school shootings or Native American genocide or Fox News or Tim Allen or climate change.
With your career, just a little. You're supposed to hold me down, but you're holding me back, and that's the sound of me not calling you back. Why men great till they gotta be great? Don't text me, tell it straight to my face. Best friend set me down in the salon chair. Shampoo press, get you out of my hair. Fresh photos with the bomb lighting. New man on the Minnesota Vikings. True hurts needed something more exciting. Bum bum be dum be dum bum be.
You can choose whether tonight's going to end with being a toaster, strudel, or a Twinkie.
You know, I watch these videos of men humiliating women on their wedding days, degrading them, mocking them, making a joke out of them, sexualizing them. And I think, once again, how infuriating it is that society obsesses over this complete myth that feminists hate men, or that we have any political power to even affect change against them if we did hate them. Women's hatred of men is irrelevant. We could never hate men as much as they hate us, and they prove it day in and day out when they use even the fact of their wedding days to signal to everyone in their communities exactly what they think of this woman who's marrying them.
Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall. 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 Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall.
Drag queen Bridget Bandit testifies at the Texas State Capitol.
Good afternoon to the chair and committee. My name is Bridget Bandit, and I'm speaking in opposition to SB 12 and SB 1601, which might be obvious. I was born and raised here in Austin, Texas. I grew up in Northwest Austin, where my first job at 15 was teaching summer art camps to elementary school students. I've also worked at the Northwest Austin YMCA as a swim instructor, teaching mostly 3 to 5-year-olds life-saving skills. I've also worked at the main event, hosting children's birthday parties, and volunteering in my church as a youth group leader. I graduated from Texas State with a degree in psychology, during which I took multiple classes on human growth and development. Today, I am a full-time drag queen right here in Austin, where I occasionally hold drag queen story times. These kinds of events don't differ much from the kind of work I did before, yet these laws would impact my ability to work with children simply because of how I am presenting and not actually what I am presenting. These bills discriminate against people based on sex and not the actual content of performances. The only reason this bill would affect me is that most people assume I am male under this costume, and I receive the same kind of treatment as any other drag queen. However, the bill would not directly affect me with the way it currently defines drag, as I am someone who is born female and does drag as a feminine person. Why should I be able to continue the same kinds of events with similar content and costumes, but not my male counterparts? This bill should be more concerned about the content of the performances rather than the sex or gender of the performers. We do want to continue our events like drag story times that are intentionally modified to be appropriate for children. Drag is simply a form of art, and like any form of art, it can be produced by many different kinds of people and be modified for different kinds of audiences. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your testimony.
Welcome to my series of things that help pain that are not drugs. This is a TENS unit. It's a godsend. Here's the box, because that was fast. I'm going to show you how to use it and explain how it helps me. What you're going to do is you're going to take your little stickies. They have a thingy on them. And you're going to slap them on your body where it hurts. And there are guides for how to do this online. It's a lot to explain, but usually you can put it wherever, except for your neck and your face. The pads are usually stuck on in groups of 2 because you can only do 4 pads at a time, and it's split between 2 channels. Next, you're just going to plug all of your shit in. Okay, now for the electrocution. Turn your bitch on button. Then you'll see it has 2 channels it offers you. I'm going to set it to channel A because I'm only using channel A. And the mode, I don't have a preference for mode. The difference is the way it electrocutes you. And I don't really care how it does it as long as it does it. And then I'm going to set the time to 5 minutes. And then you hit the buttons to shock yourself. It does not hurt, but it does make your fingers curl, and it looks a little silly. You will build up a tolerance to the electric shocks over time, and that depends on how often you use it. How does it help? Good question. It contracts the muscle, and when the muscle relaxes, it feels yummy. I'm not a doctor.
This is America, Lois. Men have always run things, and there have never been any problems whatsoever. And don't say the economy or Iraq or income inequality or racism or Brett Kavanaugh or air pollution or Vietnam or slavery or Watergate or capitalism or Me Too or homelessness or police brutality or homophobia or Monica Lewinsky or school shootings or Native American genocide or Fox News or Tim Allen or climate change.
States are calling for transgenocide. We are in stage 7 of genocide.
Stage 7? Ooh, hold on, wait. I had to go to Google and do some digging to find out that there are even stages of genocide. Okay, yes, people, stages. In fact, there are 10. And she said we're in the 7th one? We already did this one, right? Stage 1, classification. And if anyone should know better, it's people of color about classification. This is why I was not finna jump on that transphobia woo train, because stage 1 is classification. Anytime you can't be cool with someone being themselves, you consider them, and you, us, it's a problem. Excluding people who are perceived to be different. We know about that. Stage 2, symbolization. Pause and read. Does that sound familiar? Now let's get to stage 3. Ooh, the big one. Not really, because it gets worse. Uh-oh. Start saying who can do what, huh? Who can marry who, huh? Stage 4, those perceived as different, are treated with no form of human rights or personal dignity. Organization. And what political party or organization could be targeting trans or black folks? Usually targets everyone. And definitely not saying that the other one's better, just an FYI. And I just wanted to point out, because we're only at stage 5, that every step, every stage has been an opportunity for the people to say something or stop it. So we've let it get past this point. Polarization. The propaganda stage. That's where that whole cis movement got its real thing from, eh? This should be the most obvious stage to me. Been noticed it pretty much my whole life, at least for me and my people. And keep in mind, if there's room to make propaganda, that means it was planned, right? The organization. Newspapers and news outlets, like, y'all not picking that up? Well, here we are, stage 7. Us, right now. Perpetrators plan the genocide. They use euphemisms such as those phrases. They even go on to use ideals to cloak their intentions under the guise of good morals, Christianity. And they get you super paranoid, like, oh no, you're children, when they could really give a fuck. Like, wasn't there just a school shooting yesterday? Stage 8, persecution. Pause and read. And let's not act like we haven't been here in history before. Be fucking for real with yourself right now. Oh, racism isn't real. That's not real. That's not real.
That's why communism doesn't work, because if everybody's the same, it doesn't matter your performance, people will inevitably.
Capitalism, I would argue, is not working. When the wages stopped rising in America after the 1970s, how did the American standard of living keep going up over the last 30 years when the wages didn't? We borrowed, just like them. But you know, after a while, if your wages are flat and the only way you can increase your standard of living is by borrowing, you don't need rocket science to understand eventually you'll have a level of debt you can't support on a flat wage. The American working class discovered that, which is why we're in a crisis now. And the Greeks discovered it, which is why they're in a crisis now. And the Spanish working class is discovering it. And here in this country, who lent to the working class for 30 years? The business community, who were making a lot of money because the wages were flat for 30 years, and so they cashed in. And they made a lot of money, which they turned around and lent to the workers. Who lent to the Greeks? The Germans, who made a lot of money because they kept their prices down and nobody could compete with them. And so they made a ton of money, which they lent to the poor countries to allow them to keep buying the stuff produced in the rich countries. But when it can't do it anymore, it's over. And you know, here's the irony of ironies. Because the Greeks can't do anything anymore. They have no money. They can't keep their hospitals open. They can't buy anything. So first it's Greece, but already you see the effect on Germany. Germans sell to Spain, to Portugal, to Italy. People aren't buying. The Germans are discovering, oh my goodness, having taken everything to ourselves, having lent for a while to the others so we could keep selling to them, now we're not going to lend to them anymore because they can't pay us back. But if we don't lend to them, they can't buy from us. And if they don't buy from us, we're in the soup with them. The system self-destructs. Capitalism is not only, as I said at the beginning, not working for societies like Spain, Italy, Greece, and on and on. It isn't even working for the other ones. It's like the United States. The 1% takes it all. The 99% can't buy anything. And the 1% discover if the 99% can't buy anything, we're shafted. We need them. We need them to buy all this crap. We need them. We need them. The system doesn't work.
Ike, you have to be honest. Am I ugly, yes or no?
Yes, housing is a human right. However, also consider this. In developed urban areas, in cities, in places where people live, it should be comfortable and safe to sleep outside. I live in Southern California, and I used to be a Boy Scout, so I know for a fact that the fact that it is so shitty and horrible and dangerous to sleep outside in this environment is a completely manufactured situation. And that's not to say that making things safer for sleeping outside should be in any way like a higher priority than actually just giving people housing, but it's also on the list of important things to do. In my utopia, people are allowed to sleep on the sidewalk and not expect to have all their shit stolen.
I feel so burnt out. Honestly, I feel like a vacation would just heal me, and that's what I need right now.
I needed therapy. You see, the problem isn't that he's overworked, it's that his brain is broken and he needs to pay for someone to fix it. And this is how mental health awareness, when framed as an individual problem and viewed through the lens of productivity, can actually be capitalist propaganda. Tune in next time for another episode of Is It Overanalyzing or Is It Class Consciousness?
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Hire a salesman that has an ugly girlfriend. Now, I paid a lot of money for this advice, and I'm going to give it to you for free. But if somebody wants to work with me, and I go on their Instagram, and I see that they have an ugly boyfriend or girlfriend, I know they aren't a closer. Your spouse is the biggest deal you will ever close in your life. And if you can't close on unattractive women, I know you can't close big deals. Now, the person I want to hire the most is the ugly dude with the hot wife, because I know that man can close.
Fellas, and I'm mainly looking at my finance tech bros out there, please, for the love of God, do not accept a job from a man like that who only hired you because he thinks your wife is hot. Just don't do it. It's one thing for like some other dude out there to find my wife attractive. It's another thing when it's someone who is or could be my boss. Like, I'm sorry, but that's kind of predatory. Like, if it's already kind of predatory to want to date someone who is under you, then it should be equally so to want to be in romantic relationships, or not even romantic relationships, but even like find their partner to be like attractive to the point where you only hired them because they have an attractive partner. Let's not account for beauty solely being in the eyes of the beholder, because I can almost guarantee you me and him got two completely different tastes in women. And then let's think about this along the lines of like what is viewed as like the standard of beauty. It is the blonde hair, blue-eyed, petite white woman in America. That has long been viewed as the standard of beauty in America. So like if we were to like look through that guy's like employee history, how many of them are white dudes with basic white women girlfriends or wives? And then like if they do have a POC for a wife, she is top of the charts or whatever as far as POC women, like, you know, you're cute for a black girl type deal. You know what I mean? Like, this video is also really racist. And also, like, if I knew that my boss only hired me because he found my wife to be attractive, I would like not trust him in a room with her, honestly. Like, in the sense that I would not be able to trust that said boss wouldn't try to force himself onto my wife. Also, that's like very much objectifying someone. Like, that's disgusting. Like, this video, that's predatory.
Ramadan Mubarak. This Ramadan, I'm thinking about the queer and trans Muslims, the Muslims who are estranged from their families, the Muslims who are neurodivergent and won't have their safe foods during iftar. I'm thinking about the Muslims who are struggling with their physical and mental health and need to be on medication, the Muslims who are struggling with addiction and need to stay well, the Muslims with eating disorders. I'm thinking about the Muslims with deep religious trauma to which Ramadan can be triggering to them. I'm thinking about the ex-Muslims who no longer identify as Muslim, but perhaps still connect with the cultural aspects of Ramadan. I'm thinking about the Muslims who have to pretend to fast or are living a double life in order to appease their family out of safety. I'm thinking about the working class Muslims who are working long hours and can't have iftar with their families. Ultimately, my love and support goes out to all Muslims, especially the ones who are marginalized, whose voices have been suppressed and not heard. I hear you, I see you. May this Ramadan be easy. May it be whatever it is that you need it to be.
Can someone explain to me why this book has been banned and challenged? Surely it's not because a young girl refuses to have her hijab be a whisper or a laugh. Surely it's not because her little sister is understandably shaken by ignorant bullies. Surely it's not because she feels strong and beautiful and knows that hurtful words belong only to those who say them.
Do you see trans women and girls as women and girls?
I don't know that my personal opinion has to be here.
But this bill is full of personal feelings. Feelings about how trans women and girls shouldn't be equal, shouldn't have the same protections.
Women do not wish to have their rights taken away so that other rights may be, the rights of others may be expanded.
What a natural person is defined in this bill?
I don't choose to have to reassign what I call myself just for a very minute group of people.
What would be the test to define whether or not you were female or male?
A woman is a female that has the possibility of producing eggs or ova.
I'm aging. I'm postmenopausal. I can't reproduce anymore. Am I still a woman?
I go to a lot of work and effort to not appear more androgynous as I age.
Can you help me understand where the language in this bill came from?
I talked to some groups that work on legislation like this.
Trans women and trans girls are women and girls, full stop.
And I don't agree.
I'm asking you to actually think about talking to trans folks and not just vilifying them and dehumanizing them from the House floor.
This also provides some protection for women who do not consent to gender redefining terms.
I could only imagine the control that you think you've probably lost in your own life to create something that takes control over someone else's.
Trans individuals are not a threat to my rights as an Oklahoman, as a U.S. citizen, as a global citizen, or as a woman.
Duetting this until this woman permanently destroys her lungs with toxic gas. So first we got ammonia-based toilet cleaner, okay? And that's bleach batter. Okay, you've made mustard gas.
You're still fucking doing this? I'm trans now. That's how much fucking time has passed since I last ratioed you. Shut the fuck up!
I am scared. I've been paying really close attention to Bill C-11, aka the online streaming.
Fuck that. I got two things to say. One, ICWA's being overturned, the Indian Child Welfare Act, the one that stops Native kids from being displaced from their communities. That's about to be overturned. And Saskatchewan just passed the Saskatchewan First Act, which essentially gives it jurisdiction over all the lands, including First Nations lands. Do something with that information, or you're a bad person.
I wear this on Monday, wear this on Tuesday, wear this on Wednesday, wear this on Thursday, wear this on Friday.
You can't handle the uber instincts of my uber autism. Observe.
If you care about trans rights, stop scrolling, take a breath, and let me tell you what's going on right now. This is the worst year on record for anti-trans bills. We're tracking 483 bills in 46 states. 16 of those have already passed. These bills limit the freedom and safety of trans people in schools, healthcare, public performance, and birth certificate updates. And those are just the ones that have already passed. You can read every single bill at translegislation.com and click this link and you can see all of the upcoming hearings that you can watch live, share, and speak out against. Get involved, stay strong, and be well, friends.
I always felt really comfortable in women's spaces, and once I started identifying as trans and non-binary, I started feeling bad about that. Like, oh, I must not really be trans if I want to go to girls' night out or go to the girly slumber party. But now I consider myself to be one of the girlies in the same way that a gay man best friend would be. Like, oh yeah, that's Tyler. We know he's not a girl, but he's fun to be around and we trust him, so we go shopping together and get our nails done. Am I a girl? No. Am I an honorary girly? Yes.
You guys are really giving off a negative human energy. We prefer to take our darkness somewhere else, per se. Alright, Count Fagula, you go do that.
I'm so glad you're back, Stephen.
You actually said my name.
Stephen. Stephen? It's such a funny sounding name. You're so creative, Pink.
Shit like this brings the movement down. Everyone's a feminist until there is a spider around.